For Nigerians who are 60 years and above, post-independence affiliation with Nigeria must be a special story. This story, to a lot of them, is that of fondness and pride in belonging to a country of great human and economic potential, a country reputed to be the largest single entity of black people anywhere in the entire world. At 60 and above, these independence children are now elders of the nation, but it continues to be a matter of concern to them that successive Nigerian governments have not been fair enough in the treatment of the elderly. And this feeling of neglect may have become a source of bonding for many in this class. 60 Plus Advocacy Initiative is a registered, non-profit, non-religious and non-partisan organization that seeks to promote the collective interests of the elderly in Nigeria. Joining us now to take a more detailed look at all this is Adeyinka Obalade, Chairman, Governing Board, 60 Plus Advocacy Initiative. Welcome to the program, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, Mr. Obalade, I assume that you are over 50, or you were born around October 1960, and other members of your group. But what is 60 Plus Advocacy Initiative? What is it about? We know that a few years back, some members of an older generation talked about being a wasted generation in terms of how Nigeria disappointed that generation. Now, does your own generation, the 60 Plus generation in Nigeria, do you feel disappointed? Do you feel wasted? Do you feel shortchanged by the way Nigeria has turned out? And when you talk about advocacy initiative, what is the agenda?
Thank you very much. It's not enough for us to be crying over this PMIC. All we need to do is to see how we can improve the situation we have found ourselves. About 3 years ago, a group of elders in their 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, they came together to form this 60 Plus Advocacy Initiative. And like we have been introduced, it's a non-profit, non-religious, non-partisan, and non-governmental organization. What are we out to do? We are out to promote the collective interest of the elderly in this nation, primarily in the area of advocacy. But again, we also go into interaction, where we speak, we train, we teach them in the areas that will positively impact their lives. Our belief is this, that old age is not punishment, and is indeed the grace of God on the individual. The society and the communities at large should place the elderly in a position of value and of comfort. Not only it is a destination that every young person aspires to, but the society itself stands to reap the benefits of their cumulative experiences and mentorship. We know what the elderly are going through in this nation, and we have decided to stand up as their voice. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So can you tell us more about your aims and your programs, and also what is your collaboration with the federal or state governments like?
Thank you very much. One, we are primarily an advocacy group, and what we did was to visit different areas. We were able to meet with the elders, and we had a first-hand information from them, their needs. We were in Oworosoki, we were in Surulere, and other parts of Lagos State, and we were able to come together and say, who is going to speak on behalf of these people? Like I said, old age is not a punishment, and therefore we decided to come up with some of these needs. Of course, there are many, but we know what is obtaining in other countries, and there's no reason why we should be left out. The world has become a global village, and therefore what is operating over there can also operate here, and that's what we are saying. Haven't done our research, haven't met with the elders, and we ourselves are elders. Because in our group today, I can tell you, there are some over 80, we have some in their 70s, and the least are in their 60s. We decided to focus on 5 areas among the needs of these elders. One, the first thing is respect for elders. We are saying today the society lacks respect for elders. There should be a vigorous campaign, a public enlightenment on this. And we are 60 plus, we are ready to partner with the Ministry of Information, Ministry of Education. We want to talk to schools. We want to be at the public places like markets, on the social media, to be able to canvass and campaign for respect for elders. Elders are treated and abused anyhow in this nation. I was born many years back, more than 60, and I know what I went through. I could not just see an elder and behave as if somebody is not there. You go into the bus and you see a 10-year-old boy sitting down, an elder, 70-year-old, standing up. And the young boy cannot even offer the seat to an aged person. We want to work on that. Our second focus is in the area of health facilities. We believe that our primary health care facilities should give a room, at least, to the treatment of elders. Enough of all these elders lining up for hours in the general hospitals, waiting for treatment. Some of them do collapse there. They do not have the strength to be able to go through this. And we believe that what is being done in other spaces, in other countries, can also be done here. That's what we are trying to do. We cannot do it alone. That's why we have decided to go to different levels of government. I want to inform you, yesterday we were with the Executive Governor of Lagos State, and we appreciate him for giving us the time for us to be able to present some of these things to him. We also believe that there should be recreational facilities for these elders. For how long are they going to continue to stay at home? The communal life that we used to enjoy before is no more there. The children go to work. Sometimes some of them are widow or widowers. There is nowhere to relax. And we believe that government should come up and in every local government, in cities, create recreational centers where these people can relax, they can bond together, and some of the problems of the aged that they are going through, they can discuss and get some solutions. You can play games. They can also have cares from there. And we'll see the life of these elderly improve significantly. Then we are also looking at the area of transportation. Go to United Kingdom, and then you see the elders being treated fairly well, better than us here. We have BRT buses, for example, in Lagos, and there are some seats for the elders, but who dare go there? Before the elders even come in, the younger ones have already sat down there, and they are not ready to give that seat to anybody. We should be able to designate some seats for the elders. It's done in most countries, developed countries, and we have traveled to some of these countries, and we know what they are going through. They are enjoying it. Then there is rebate on the fares. We are also calling on government to be able to do that for these elderly ones. They've served the country. They've contributed their quotas. And we should not make them to look as if old age is a punishment. We also look at the zebra crossing. We know that these people do not have enough strength to be able to run through the road. That's why the zebra crossing is there, and is something that is working elsewhere. But just to have this as a joke, somebody complained because he was almost knocked down on the zebra crossing, and the person asked him back, "Are you a zebra?" That's some of the things we are going through here. We should be able to train and educate our drivers on the care for the elders on this zebra crossing. And finally, the pension system. We see some of them collapsing on the queue. We see some of them traveling to the cities to collect their pension. Enough of this. We want to appreciate Lagos State government. For example, there have been a serious improvement in the pension system, but we are calling on other state governments to do the same. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for that. You said a lot, but one part too I want to put into that conversation is the need for sort of like an old people's home that we see a lot of elderly ones enjoy in the West, but we don't see that here. Or even if there's that structure, it looks almost non-existent. I mean, what's your take on that?
We agree with you completely. Our NGO decided to go to the only one that is operating in Lagos, and that is the one in Yaba. And the situation there is not the best to say, even on the television here. But we believe that it is not enough for us just to continue to criticize government. We need to partner with them and see what we can do. I know there are couples of private homes where these people can be treated, where these people can be given a good life. Homes in Nigeria is looked as a place where you abandon the old people. That ought not to be. The relaxation we are talking about ought to be, that's where they meet their colleagues. They meet the aged ones. They share experience. And they can also look into the past and use it even to better the future for themselves. But in this part of the world, the old people's home is not the best. We met some of the inmates there, and we discussed with them. And it's one of the things that we are also putting across to our various levels of government to improve. But we can also call the high network individuals, those who can invest, corporate social responsibilities for big companies. They can take up these homes. Let's understand that the situation has changed from what it used to be. Yes, in the village, you have the communal life. You see them coming together, but not in Lagos, not in Port Harcourt. You can't see that replicated in Abuja because everybody goes about his own. And the old man is left, or the old woman is left alone in the house. If there is a good home for them, they can be there and they are well taken care of. We are also advocating for that. Thank you.
Well, when I first welcomed you on the program, I thought the first question I asked you were also going to reflect on Nigeria at 60.
Yes.
Which is something we're going to celebrate for the next 1 year.
Yes.
But I take your point, old age is not punishment. You've talked about government. You cited the example of Lagos State that pays pensions. Lagos State also, in their review of the land use charge law, has also exempted 60-year plus from paying land use charge.
Yes.
But there's a lot that government can do. But you know that we are also Africans. There's this thing about communalism. And many parents in Africa look up to their children to look after them. Are you doing anything in that direction in terms of advocacy and the responsibility of children to their parents who may have spent the better part of their lives building up those children? Or your position is that, well, we're at a stage now where, you know, the children have their own responsibilities. They don't need to worry about the elderly because we also want to be like the Western countries.
Thank you very much for that. Under the caption, Respect for Elders, I mentioned that we are going to educate our people. Our children have lost the value system. Some of them believe that the parents have brought them to this world and that's all. We discussed with some of the younger ones, and the response we got from them is that, listen, we have more problems that we can cope with than even taking care of anybody now. And that is it. The problem is that some of them are not employed. Businesses are not there for them to do. They cannot go to the bank, work there, and then, just walk in and take facilities. It's not easy because they do not have the collateral. And some of them are already complaining. They left the village to come to the urban areas, and nothing is forthcoming. How do they remember these elders in the village? But there are still some that are above board. They are doing well. But just because they have lost that moral value, but we can bring it back through advocacy. We will go to schools, we start bringing them up right away from the primary secondary school, where we inculcate in the life of these children the essence of respect for elders. Definitely, they will remember who they are. I can tell you, I grew up with my parents, and I knew what they went through. And I did the best before they passed beyond. That at least I was able to tell them, thank you, before they left this space. On the 60s, I want to tell you that it is not because we are just going to be 60 that we came up with the name 60 plus. This was conceived about 3 years ago, and we have been on the drawing board. We needed to get an office setting. We needed to interview people. We needed to go to various parts of this country before we came up. I want to say that we are celebrating our people because most of them were born even before independence, and some of them were born around independence, and they've contributed their quotas. So I'm calling upon our people in Nigeria to celebrate these people as we are celebrating our 60th year anniversary. Thank you.
You've really stressed the erosion of our values as a society, and it cannot be discussed enough. It's unfortunate. What do you think should be done at this point? I mean, your parents, you just said how you repaid your parents for their kindness. A lot of people now don't even think in those terms. And the way the society has degenerated, you have a lot of elderly who are struggling, also having to support their own children, because we have this phenomenon now of youth unemployment. So when we blame a lot of the youth for their attitude towards the elderly, they in turn blame the elderly for their current predicament and the failures of the previous generation to adequately provide for them. I'd like you to address that. And also I want to talk about health of the elderly and the common concerns that a lot of elderly face when have certain physical impairments. What should be done about that to support the elderly?
Thank you very much. We believe that the curriculum in our schools will have to be looked into. And I'm calling on the Ministry of Education to do that. When I was in the primary school, there used to be a course called civics. And we were being taught how to be a civilized person. Respect for elders that we are talking about, our role to the society, but some of these courses are no more there. Even history, we have forgotten about the history of our nation, history of our communities. All these are not being taught, and we are advocating that we need to go back to the basics, because if you do not have a good foundation, you cannot get a good building. And if you get a good building that is on faulty foundation, the building will collapse. And that is what has happened to our moral system. Definitely, we have to rebuild. We have to go back to the foundation and see how we can strengthen it. Because I remember I used to listen to stories from my parents, my grandparents, when I was coming up. They had time, and they devoted some time to training us. But in this case, you see somebody leaving home at 5 a.m. and coming back at 10 in the night. Where do you have time to train these children? But the school can come in. And that's where we are calling on Ministry of Education to look at the curriculum and see what they can do to make us a better national. On the issue of health, we know that being old, being aged is not easy. Once you are getting to 50, you will see a change in the system. You need to visit the toilet more than usual. You wake up so early you wake up so many times in the night to go to the toilet. And there are some changes in the physical body. So now what do? Unfortunately, most of them do not have savings to enable them to go to private hospitals. Those are the ones that can easily attend to them. Should we now allow them to rot away Should we allow them just to die like that? That's where we are advocating. That government should get a portion of our revenue and use it to take care of these people. Create a room in every primary health care facilities that we have in this country. Let the elders be able to do their temperature, they take their necessary fighters. And if there is an issue that is more than that room, then they can be given a special reference to the general hospital, and they do not need to wait over there for a long time. They are really going through troubles. We were in Surulere during the time of COVID. Apart from what we did by giving them some palliatives, we gave them food, but we are able to talk to them. We listen to them. And it's stories of woes. We need to come to their aid. I want to say it again, old age is not a punishment.
I want to talk about a particular group of senior citizens that have been neglected in this country. These are the veterans. These are the old servicemen. Some of them have lost their limb. They've lost body parts, fighting for the unity of this country. Do you have anything in the works for people like that?
One, we are not segregating anybody. Whether you work in the civil service, in the military, you have served in the private sector, we are all together. If you look at the composition of 60 plus today, we have people that have retired from various spheres of life. And we have come together to say, let us share experience and let us see how we can improve the plight of our people. Let me say with due humility here that most of the members of the 60 plus are above board. They can take care of themselves. But this is what they want to give back to the nation. When we visited the governor yesterday, two of us were already above 80. And they still dressed up in our uniform. You can see them. And we went to the governor to tell him face to face what we are going through. And we're able to get some positive responses from our amiable governor. We are not going to stay only in Lagos. We are going to go to other places to do it. So let me come back to your question. For this military, we are doing the same thing for them. We are seeing how we can improve the plight of the aged. The governor yesterday directed us, and present there were special assistants and commissioners that will take care of it. Even the wife of the governor was there yesterday to listen to some of the plights of these elders. That's the accord, that's the respect accorded us yesterday. And we thank you, the governor, very much for that. But what we are saying is this: whether you retire from the military, whether you retire from the civil service or from the private sector, over there in developed countries, there's no difference. They should be taken care of. They have needs to be met, and we should stand up to meet those needs. If not, when you become old, you will also suffer the same thing. We can't continue to continue to say the stories of woes. There must be an improvement.
Well, definitely, Mr. Obalade. I mean, you and your colleagues, you've put your hand on a good thing, and you deserve every piece of encouragement that is possible from any direction. But you talked about sharing experiences. I hope your members will also create a forum to share experiences with younger persons, the under 60s, so that they can prepare for the future, so that they will not be vulnerable, either in terms of investment or lifestyle choices, because you know how Nigeria is. Nobody really knows tomorrow, and it's not good to be 60 plus and be dependent. Thank you very much, Mr. Obalade, for joining us.